Tuesday's removal from office of Kayode Egbetokun, the 23rd Inspector General of Police of Nigeria by President Bola Tinubu, well, it brought an end to a period of 3 years during which the role of law enforcement in Nigeria became as scrutinized as at no other time in history. While the outgone IGP tried to maintain the age-old traditions of the force, which won its global acclaim, his stewardship was also a time of cases of corruption, sometimes in the highest echelons of the force, gained unprecedented attention, drawing calls for censure and discipline from a lot of the public. In some instances, such calls were only particularly or partially heeded by the relevant authorities. Well, we're now being joined by security analyst Jonathan Onoja, to discuss the stewardship of the former IGP, as well as set an agenda for his successor, Tunji Disu. Thank you for joining us here on Newsday. You are welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on your program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, like we said, much of Kayode Egbetokun's tenureship, especially in the last year, was shadowed by, debates. One of them being his tenureship extension following the 2024 Police Act amendment. How do you think his leadership fared in the short amount of time that he was in his position?
All right, thank you for those questions. The former IG, Egbetokun, retired. Was a very gentleman officer who contributed his quota to national security. Unfortunately, during his tenure, a lot of ups and downs happened, with situations where tenure elongations happened just overnight and acts were reviewed or proposed to support his tenure elongation. As that could be, many Nigerians were asking a question at a time if this tenure elongation was based on competency or compensations from their masters or from the presidency. That question was not answered because at the time, many Nigerians protested the elongation in office. And more so that during his times, kidnapping was incessant, and up to the very day today, there are a lot of kidnapping cases. Police issues of brutality was on during his time, corruption, police officers, extortion, and all of that was happening during his watch, under his watch rather. But unfortunately, as Nigerians have become has termed it, that they say police is your friend, unfortunately, we didn't see that friendship, that's policing between the Nigerian people and the police under his tenure. And so one will describe the Egbetokun's tenure as one would say one of the worst, because the kidnapping cases, abductions, even within the Federal Capital Territory under his watch was enormous. And if you look at the police budgeting system, that from 2024 to 2025 fiscal year budget versus the ransom payment as published by MBS, you wonder that Nigerians have paid more ransoms and even equivalent to what the budget systems of our police and even the military has, become. So you may have also go for the option of not even having the police system or not having police in place and pay ransoms and have your peace. Unfortunately, their purpose for which they were appointed into office was defeated with some of this incident. But now we're talking about is all of this is gone now. We are looking at the future. We have now a predecessor. We now have a successor. Rather, we have acting IGP now in person of Disu Tunji. So he has an opportunity to rebrand the image of the force and to bring the essence of policing into Nigeria as it is now. However, Nigerians are still campaigning. Yeah, why this rather in as much that his appointment was widespread, how will I say it, was praised by Nigerians and all of that. Some quarters are saying, no, look, the Southeast have not had this fair share of this appointment over the years. Yes, he's competent. Yes, beyond wearing the uniform, he's a man who understands the policing. And then some Nigerians, I'm not here to campaign for anybody individual, but some Nigerians are saying, look, Mr. President would have, extend his hand, his handshake of fellowship to the Southeast as to see the current situations in Nigeria now would have warranted one that such we say, look, if the Southeast occupy this office, the tension in the Southeast will be curtailed. They will also feel that they are this inclusive. They will also come with the idea of one Nigeria, because the North Central have its own fair share. We've had their own, the North generally have had its own fair share. The South, yes, have had their own fair share. But from 1999 to date, you realize that the Southeast have not had its own fair share in the appointment of the Inspector General of Police and generally the service chiefs. So many Nigerians are in different quarters, appealing that Mr. President should consider, because there are implications. There are implications on appointment of their AIGs now to acting IGP, where we have, DIGs, and they have invested so much money in these individuals with trainings. Nigeria has sent them to various countries for trainings. They have invested so much. Please go ahead.
Mr. Onoja, your points are certainly noted and they are appreciated. But I'm wondering what reforms are urgently needed to reposition the police in the fight against kidnapping and violent crimes. What immediate priorities would you like the new IGP to focus on?
Yes, one of the reforms that the new acting IGP must consider is first to reposition the force and build that trust between the police and the Nigerian people. Until we have, a trust between the Nigerian police and the Nigerian people, there will not be effective policing. The president is already advocating for state police, which is a welcome idea. These are some of the reforms that I think the police must go through. So we must first rebrand the image of the force. The Nigerian police must be trusted by the Nigerian people. Otherwise, there will be no effective policing. Because when we talk about community policing, I've often said that it is a community versus the police. So where there is no trust from the people, from the community to the police, how then do you want to have an effective community policing? In today's world, there are no even information. The Nigerians are not giving out free information to the police anymore, because all of this is because of the trust deficit. So now going forward, the reforms that must happen, we talk about our roadblocks and all of that has happened, that are going to digitalize the checkpoints for Nigerians to know who is who, and who is in point A, who is in checkpoint B and C, because the checkpoints have become, an avenue for the police now to begin to extort Nigerians. We have seen videos of police having issues with Nigerians on checkpoints. If we can digitalize our checkpoints for Nigerians to know that when there are illegal checkpoints across the centers, even the city centers, it will allow you to say, come, we can now report that so place where we had police yesterday, they're not digitalized, they are not in a way delegated or designated for the purpose of checkpoints. So we must identify the checkpoints we wish to have, digitalize them, then at the divisions as well. Our response mechanism is very poor. When you report issues of kidnappings or even two fighting in communities, it takes the police hours for them to respond. Our response mechanism, we talk about the national emergency number 112. How effective have Nigerians been, be utilizing that numbers? And when you call, what has been the response? For I, as a person, I've tested that numbers over time, and when you report emergencies, there will be no response. So we must work on our response mechanism, and I believe so much that the acting IGP, Tunji Disu, is a man who has over 2 decades of experience in in the force. So he has gone through the thick and time of all of that. So I'm sure he will going to bring his experience to bear and ensure that he repositioned the force to ensure that policing is what Nigerians will experience going forward.
Well said. Speaking of Tunji Disu, I would like to get your opinion on his appointment. But we also know that nearly 29 senior officers, DIGs and AIGs, are expected to retire to maintain this chain of command with Disu's appointment. Is this concerning at all to you as a security analyst, a loss of institutional memory, quote unquote, at this time when Nigeria, we're facing complex, multi-hydra-headed security threats? What do you think of this?
It is quite unfortunate that the system has allowed this form of practice. Otherwise, individuals, like I earlier stated, that we have spent so much money for their trainings and all of their welfare over the years, only for them to retire these individuals without contributing their quota. Unfortunately, we cannot question the system. And the appointment of sometimes the appointment of these IGs is also, and it causes also a lot of insecurity, because people will be retired compulsory. People who maybe their time even or their years in the force have not even come, they'll be retired, all because one individual, a junior officers, have just been appointed. So I appeal to Mr. President that these individuals, about 29 of the senior officers, are people that have been in the force, that understands that yes, if given opportunities in various means, they'll be able to contribute their quota. So away from retirement, what next? These are the questions. You retire them, there's no way you engage them, then all the money we have taken, all the years they have taken to go through trainings will be used for what? And that is why I earlier stated that the appointment have not been fairly shared across the zones, but notwithstanding, now that it has happened this way, some may even be retired and also be given higher appointment as well. But then we must consider their welfare, we must consider their after retirement life, what will be of them, because this has been the practices over the years, and it constitutes also another aspect of insecurity in our force system that we don't know. So let Mr. President see a way to bring them to the negotiating table to see how possible these individuals will be fairly compensated and see how they can also contribute their quotas to national peace and security. Because if we continue to retire our best hands, it's also going to cost us a lot to invest in new hands for trainings and all of that. And we continue to see that the government don't have money, despite multiple taxations and all of that. It's now going to create another form of insecurity in the force.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We're completely out of time. Security analyst Jonathan Onoja, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.